Uncle Lou was right. Uncle Lou was wrong. Every offseason, I do a series of preview and prediction videos, team by team. I do about 50 or 60 of them. I usually start at the end of June or beginning of July and work on it for a couple of months. I'll release a whole series of these preview and prediction videos where I go through team by team. I put the schedule up on the screen and I try to predict not only the overall record, which is hard enough to do, but exactly which games a team will win or lose, which is very difficult to do. In today's video, which is one of the most popular every single offseason because it gives you guys a chance to point and laugh at me, which is one of your favorite things to do around here. In today's video, I'm going to put up a series of screenshots, some of the different previews and predictions that I made about certain teams last year, and then we're going to look at their record, what really ended up happening. How many did Uncle Lou get right? How many did Uncle Lou get wrong? How many was I close on? Were there any I was totally off on? Yes. We're going to go through a few of them right now. Yeah, good morning in that. It's Uncle Lou here, though. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, and I'm live for you on LouTube today. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it also, and too. Hey, subscribe to this channel if there's a reason that you're not already. I post college football videos almost every single day of the year. Some of them are even watchable, and this one will be one that is watchable for the reasons I mentioned back at the beginning of the video. This is a great opportunity for you guys to point and laugh at me about how wrong I was at some of these teams. Now, again, I do about 50 or 60 of these. I'm not going to go through every single team that I predicted a record on because this video would be probably 2 hours long. I think I have 10 or 11 teams here. I picked some that I got right or close to right. I picked some that I got wrong or close to wrong. And I picked some that I got really wrong. So you'll get an opportunity to point and laugh. If you want me to do a second one of these videos, hit the thumbs up button on this video. Let me know that you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments that you want me to do another one. And I'll maybe pick another 10 or 11 teams and do a second one of these videos, but I think 10 or 11 will give us a pretty good idea of how I did here. I tried to pick some teams from different conferences, that kind of thing. You get the idea. All right, let's get started.
All right, now you guys love to clown on me during the season about my picks, and this guy's never seen a game every time I get one wrong, so I'm going to do y'all a favor. This video is sponsored by Picks and Parlays. If you want the best free daily sports picks on the planet, visit Picks and Parlays on YouTube. Picks and Parlays has a YouTube channel. They give you the best premium sports picks on the web with all the winners you need, and the best part is it's 100% free at Picks and Parlays. They cover almost every sport, and they update all the time. Click the channel link in the description of this video, and make sure you subscribe to Picks and Parlays and hit their notification bell for daily notifications. Go check them out, Picks and Parlays.
All right, here we go. The way this is going to work is I'm going to name the team. I'm going to tell you their record this year, who they lost to. Then I'm going to show you my preview and prediction from last summer. And I'll either brag that I was right, or I'll let you point and laugh that I was wrong. Up first, one of my favorite punching bags. Some people tell me, all he does is talk about this team. If that's the case, I ought to be an expert on this team, right? The Tennessee Vols. How'd they finish in 2019? 7-5. 7-5, that's right. Losses to Georgia, Alabama, Florida, BYU, and Georgia State. 7-5. What was Uncle Lou's prediction back in the summer? 7-5. Clearly, I didn't get every game right, though. I don't think anybody got every game right for Tennessee. Why? You lost to Georgia State! That's why. But I was pretty close. I got the record dead on, right? You beat South Carolina and Missouri. I had you losing to South Carolina and Missouri. But you lost to Georgia State and BYU. I had you beating Georgia State and BYU. And then there were the three games, the three losses that I did predict, which almost everyone predicted: Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. I'm going to give myself a B on this grade. I did get the record right at 7-5, but I got two of the losses wrong. A B is pretty good. All right, up next to Corn Dogger. A lot of people got this one wrong, didn't they? I'm not the only one. Feel free to point and laugh at me here. LSU went 12-0 in the regular season. Not very many people saw that coming. I'm just going to be honest. Not very many LSU fans saw this coming. I scrolled through some of the comments as I was looking up these preview videos I did in the offseason, and they're pretty funny. I might have to do another comment on the comments video, specifically addressing the comments left on these preview videos. A lot of LSU fans were happy with me, though, at a 10-2 prediction. They didn't necessarily agree with both the games that I predicted LSU to lose, but they were pretty happy with 10-2 in the preseason. Of course, they ended up going 12-0, so I was wrong on this one. I had them at 10-2. They went 12-0. I had them losing to Alabama, of course, and then I had them losing to Mississippi State. Now, I caught a lot of flack for the Mississippi State loss prediction in the offseason, and I understand why. Clearly, that was an out-of-the-blue sort of pick. I do that a lot on the preview and prediction videos. If you look at almost any team throughout the regular season, any season, almost every single team in America loses at least one game that most people thought they were going to win, and then they usually win at least one game that most people thought they would lose, right? You're going back to Tennessee. No one thought they'd lose to Georgia State. They did. Not very many people thought they would beat South Carolina and Mizzou, but they did, right? Same thing here. That's why I picked Mississippi State. It's hard to sort of find where a team might slip up. So clearly I got LSU wrong. I had them at 10-2. They were 12-0, went on to 15-0 and national champions. I'm going to have to give myself a D on the LSU prediction. Oh, what about Florida State, though? Yikes. Now, I was really down on Willie Taggart, even during the offseason. I never thought Florida State should have hired him. I thought he was a terrible coach, and I was not shy about saying that. Florida State fans told me I was an idiot. A few of them even called me racist and said I only didn't like Willie Taggart because he was black. As if being black gives you a pass for being a terrible head coach or something. The guy's just not a quality head coach. He never should have been given the job at Florida State. Now, all the Florida State fans agree with me now, right? 8 months later, and Willie Taggart's been fired, and Florida State had an abysmal year. How'd they do? They went 6-6. They lost to Boise State, Virginia, Clemson, Wake Forest, Miami, and Florida. Some of those maybe you saw coming. Maybe some of those you didn't. What was my prediction for Florida State? 7-5. Not that far off. Now, unlike the LSU video, where I predicted LSU to go 10-2, and most of the LSU fans were happy with that prediction. Now, sure, there were some LSU fans in there that said, nah, I think we'll go 11-1. And there was a few that probably said, no, we're going undefeated and winning the West this year at 12-0. Probably had a few. The majority of LSU fans were happy with the 10-2 prediction. That was not the case with the majority of FSU fans. They called me every name under the book. They couldn't have been any more mad. I mean, if you would have walked up to one of them's mom and slapped the taste out of her mouth, they wouldn't have been any more mad than they were at watching an Uncle Lou video where I predicted Florida State to go 7-5. Turns out you had every right to be mad. You were right. I was wrong about you going 7-5. You didn't go 7-5. You went 6-6. You somehow managed to be even worse than I thought you would be. But welcome to reality. You now realize that Willie Taggart is a human trash can. Jim Blackwayne, the Steve Urkel of college football. The guy's got no business being a head coach at a major program. Unfortunately for Florida State, they had to figure that out the hard way. So again, you actually lost to Boise State, Virginia, Clemson, Wake Forest, Miami, and Florida. And you can see on the screen there, I predicted losses to Virginia, Clemson, Syracuse, Miami, and Florida. I'm going to give myself, I think, a C on this one. I was off one game in terms of total record, 7-5 versus 6-6, but I got a couple of the wins and losses wrong. Going to go with a C for a grade for myself on that one. What about the Michigan Wolverines and Jim Harbaugh? Harbaugh's another one of my punching bags, but there's sort of a weird dichotomy going on this channel, and me in particular, with Michigan. And if you've been around this channel for a couple of years, you know what I'm talking about. I dog Jim Harbaugh. I talk about how people talk about he's a great coach, but he's never won a division. Not at Michigan, not at Stanford. Can't beat his rivals. On and on and on. I talk about this all the time. Eventually, you got to start beating your rival. You got to start winning a division every once in a while. Blah, blah. I go on and on and on. And then what do I do every single offseason? I predict Michigan to go 10-1 or 10-2 or 11-1 and beat Ohio State and win their division and blah, blah, blah. And every single year they don't. No way I fell for it again heading into 2019, is there? What was my prediction for Michigan heading into 2019? My prediction was 11-1. Oh my God. I'm a glutton for punishment. Why do I keep falling for the same old banana in the tailpipe routine when it comes to Michigan? I had them picked at 11-1 with their only loss being, wait for it, Penn State. Oh my God. I actually predicted Michigan in the offseason to beat Ohio State. What was I thinking? I must not have never seen a football game. I definitely never played football. This guy ain't no real fan. Delete your channel. Okay, yeah, I'm working on that. Of course, you actually ended up going 9-3. You did lose to Penn State like I predicted, but you also lost, of course, to Ohio State. They own you you're their property at this point. It's just embarrassing. And then you also lost to Wisconsin. So I had you 11-1. You ended up 9-3. I got to give myself an F on this one. I know only 2 games off. Yeah, but the point is I keep falling for this same off-season hype when it comes to Michigan. I keep going down the rabbit hole. I don't know why. I'm giving myself an F. Epic fail, Lou. All right, I had to do this one. South Carolina. A popular team on this channel about 3 or 4 or 5 weeks into the season, whatever it was. I can't figure out why. What did I predict South Carolina to do? Or what did they actually do this year? A terrible season. 4-8. Wow. Losses to North Carolina, Alabama, Missouri, Florida, Tennessee, App State, Texas A&M, and Clemson. Wait. No loss to Georgia? You beat Georgia. You went 4-8. Now, everybody looked at South Carolina's schedule in the offseason and shook their head and said this is going to be a bad year. They had one of the most difficult schedules in America. They had to play a whole bunch of top 10 teams, Georgia, Alabama, Texas A&M, not a top 10 team, but they've never beat them. Clemson. I mean, the schedule was just absolutely brutal. Nobody expected South Carolina to have a great season. You went 4-8. I told you the teams they lost to. What did Uncle Lou predict? 6-6. Oops. I had you losing to Bama, Mizzou, Georgia, Florida, Texas A&M, and Clemson. I didn't see UNC coming. In my own defense, UNC ended up being a lot better than most people thought they would be, and that was the first game of the year. Mac Brown, they were coming off of a terrible season the year before. UNC brings Mac Brown in. North Carolina ended up being a lot better this year than people thought they would be. They beat you. I didn't see that coming. I didn't make that prediction in the offseason. And, of course, App State. Humiliating. But you did beat Georgia. Yay! That's like winning the Super Bowl for you. Congratulations. So overall record, I was 2 games off, missed several of the games. I'm going to give myself an F again because let's be real, anytime, and I do mean anytime, Georgia loses to South Carolina, anything associated with me gets an F. Notre Dame. All right, I could pat myself on the back here. Notre Dame went 10-2 this year with losses on the road at Georgia and on the road at Michigan. My prediction for Notre Dame, famously all offseason long, much to the chagrin of the Fighting Irish, who was another group of people who told me how stupid I was all season long until these things actually came to fruition. Their actual record was 10-2 with losses on the road at Georgia and Michigan. Uncle Lou got the record exactly right, and he nailed the 2 losses. Give me my A+. How about Texas? Texas was back, weren't they, this year? Yeah, they were back to losing 5 games. They went 7-5 this year with losses to LSU, Oklahoma, TCU, Iowa State, and Baylor. Jesus, did you beat any good teams? You literally lost to every good team you played. Oh my God. Very disappointing year for Texas, 7-5, coming off of a pretty good year the season before where they lost to Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game after beating them in the regular season. And then, of course, a miraculous, probably the biggest win in Texas program history, according to some Texas fans and the whole We're Back brigade that they trotted out all offseason last year. Their miracle win in the Sugar Bowl over my Georgia Bulldogs, right? Wrong. I predicted you at 10-2 with losses to LSU and Baylor. Now, you did lose to LSU and Baylor. Duh! The problem is you also lost to OU, TCU, and Iowa State. How in the hell did Uncle Lou predict you, Texas, to beat Oklahoma? I don't know, but I did. I had you at 10-2. You went 7-5. I get an F. I got it totally wrong, but you get an F, Texas and Texas fans. You know, I had Texas at 10-2, and they were another crowd that told me I didn't know what I was talking about. They were going 12-0. They were back. They were making the playoffs, yada, yada, yada. You guys saw it all off season. So even though, yes, I was very wrong about Texas, Again, I had them at 10-2. They went 7-5. I'll take the F here. I'll hold that L because I know every single Texas fan is toting around an entire book bag full of uppercase L's. Virginia was kind of a surprise team to some people this year. I was high on Bryce Perkins all offseason. I talked about him a lot. You couldn't find a whole lot of other people talking about him. In fact, when I did talk about him, a lot of people didn't even know who the hell I was talking about in the offseason. They ended up being a pretty good team this year. Not on Clemson's level, but in terms of the next tier of teams in the ACC, they were at or near the top, right? How'd they do this year? They went 9-3. They lost to Notre Dame, Miami, and Louisville. Notre Dame, okay. Miami kind of head-scratching. Louisville actually ended up being a little bit better than people thought they would be. In fact, Virginia and Louisville, North Carolina and Louisville to me were sort of similar this year, and then they overperformed based off expectations. But nevertheless, you went 9-3. What did Uncle Lou predict you to do in the offseason? 9-3. I got the Notre Dame loss right. I actually got the Miami loss right. I thought you would lose to North Carolina. You actually beat them, and instead you lost to Louisville. So I got the record right with only one loss wrong. I'm going to claim an A on this one. Virginia, not a popular team. It's not like Virginia is a team that ESPN is talking about constantly. I actually look into these things and try to do some research contrary to what a lot of you people might think in the comment section. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit here for getting the record exactly right and only getting one of the losses wrong. And I actually think the ACC, even though the ACC is terrible, it's Clemson and then a bunch of basically nobodies. I think that makes the ACC really, really hard to predict every single year because you got about 5 or 6 teams that basically are 6-win teams. Some of them end up winning 8 or 9 games because they're in the ACC and everyone else is so bad. Somebody has to win these games, but there legitimately aren't any top 25 teams in the ACC outside of Clemson, in my opinion. So it makes it very difficult to predict the ACC. So I'm going to pat myself on the back here and give myself not an A+, but an A- here. I got the record dead on at 9-3 and only got one loss wrong. What about Miami? The Miami Hurricanes, how'd they do in 2019? Not good. Not good at all, actually. You went 6-6 in the regular season. Losses to Florida, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, FIU, and Duke. Jesus H. Christ. What a terrible season. Duke? Who could have predicted that? Oh, yeah. Uncle Lou did. I got your record wrong. I had you at 8-4. I gave you way more credit than you deserved in the offseason. And this is another one of those funny videos to go back and read the comments. My Miami preview and prediction video from last offseason. I had you at 8-4, and the Miami Hurricanes fans were beside themselves. They could not believe some idiot Georgia SEC homer moron thought Miami was only going to win 8 games. They couldn't believe it. Read the comments. It's the most entertainment you'll have today. We'll be reading the comments from this Miami prediction video that I did. But you went 6-6. I had you at 8-4, so I was a couple of games off on the record. I had you losing to Florida. You did. I had you losing to Virginia Tech. You did. I had you losing to Pitt, who you actually beat. And guess what? I had you losing to Duke. Please read the Duke comments. I'm going to have to do a comment on the comments video, reading some of the comments that I got from these prediction videos last summer. They are pure gold. But yes, you did find a way to lose to Duke for a second year in a row. You now have losing streaks to Duke and Georgia Tech. Please tell us how you're one offensive coordinator away from going 15-0, though. We would love to hear all about it some more. We haven't heard nearly enough about it. You did go 8-4. I had you at 6-6. Got several of the wins and losses wrong. I got to give myself a D on this one. But Miami and Miami fans, you get an F. Minnesota, probably the surprise team of the season, right? No way I came close on this one. They went 10-2 with losses to Iowa and Wisconsin. Of course, that huge win over Penn State towards the end of the year where people really started to pay attention to Minnesota, vaulting them into the top 10 there in November. So 10-2, losses to Iowa and Wisconsin. What did Uncle Lou have? 8-4. So I was off on this one. I wasn't buying the Minnesota hype. I do like PJ Fleck. I talked about that in the prediction video. I think he's a great coach. I just didn't think Minnesota was going to have the talent to win 10 games in the Big Ten. I'm high on the Big Ten. Now, there's been years that wasn't the case, but last year the Big Ten was legitimately a very good conference, a close second to the SEC in my opinion in terms of overall, if you want to rank the conferences, which maybe we'll do a video on that later. But you went 10-2 with losses to Iowa and Wisconsin. I had you 8-4 with losses to Iowa, which I got that right. But then I had you losing to Northwestern, Penn State, and Purdue. You actually beat all of those teams. I'm going to have to give myself an F here. I was warned, actually, by somebody that's not a Minnesota fan, so it wasn't just a homer thing, but I was warned by somebody in the offseason that Minnesota was about to have a great year, and I should rethink this prediction, and I laughed at them. They were closer to being right than I was. Now, they thought Minnesota was going to make a national title run, which ended up not being the case. They came up short in the Big Ten, did win their bowl game over the barn, though. Which is great. Same accomplishment Central Florida managed to get a couple of years ago. You overperformed. You overexceeded almost everyone's expectations, Minnesota. Great year. I had you at 8-4. I got this one way wrong. I got to give myself an F on the Golden Gophers. All right, the last one we'll do today, the Florida Gators, right? They went 10-2 with losses to LSU and UGA, the two best teams they played. I predicted them to go 10-2 with losses to UGA and Kentucky. Maybe part of me was trolling a little bit with the Kentucky pick for a loss last year because, of course, they lost to Kentucky the year before in 2018, and it was the first time in like 32 years that they had lost to Kentucky. They had beat them 31 or 32 times in a row going all the way back to the mid-'80s, and it was hilarious because that was Dan Mullen's first year. So maybe a little bit of me was trolling there with Kentucky, but not really. I do these I'm not going to pretend I was just trolling. I do these preview and prediction videos as accurate as I can. Like these were my honest thoughts and predictions when I made this video. So while I'll admit it was funny to pick Florida to lose to Kentucky, I would be lying and just sort of trying to make an excuse if I said it was just a complete troll job. So I got the record exactly right. I got the loss to UGA right, but I flip-flopped the LSU and the Kentucky game. I actually thought Florida was going to beat LSU and lose to Kentucky, and it went the other way around. Again, LSU ended up being a whole lot better than most people thought they would be. So take that for what it's worth. 10-2. You went 10-2. I was one game off. I'm going to give myself a B on the Florida prediction for 2019. All right, there you go. That's it. What's that? 10 or 11 we went through there. Again, I do like 50 or 60 of these every offseason, so it's impossible for me to go through the entire list. So I tried to pick some that I was way off, some that I was dead on, and some that I was close or whatever. So plenty of opportunity to point and laugh at me here in the comment section if you want to. There was some of these teams I was way off on. But it won't hurt. It won't hurt you. Feel free to compliment me too. I got some of these dead on. Notre Dame, I was 100% accurate. Record and exactly the teams they would lose to. And several of these, I was only one game off while getting their overall record correct. So give me some credit, but yes, you can point and laugh at the ones I got totally wrong. That's why I do this. That's why I do this video, so you guys can give me a little bit of hell. Anyway, if you want to see another one of these, it'll go basically the same way, I guess. Any 10 teams that I pick out of those preview and prediction videos, honestly, are going to be similar to this probably. There's going to be one or two that I got dead on, one or two that I was way off on, and 7 or 8 where I was, pretty much right there, maybe off by a game. But if you enjoyed it and you want to see another one, let me know. Starting tomorrow, I'm actually doing a whole series of schedule preview videos. So we're probably going to do 2 weeks of these videos where I'm going to put different team schedules up on the screen and we're going to go through them, look at the conference schedule, non-conference schedule. It's not a prediction video where I'm picking wins or losses or anything like that. Just sort of comparing, okay, is this schedule harder for this team than last year? Okay, they played this team in the non-con last year. Now they got to play this team. Okay, this year's a lot harder. That kind of thing. Who are they playing on the road versus at home in conference play this year versus last year? That kind of thing. We're going to do a series of those. I'll take a couple of weeks to do that. Don't forget the live shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, the morning show with Uncle Lou and BVD. And then, of course, every Tuesday and Thursday night here on LouTube, we do Uncle Lou After Dark, YouTube's longest running college football call-in show. I take phone calls from college football fans from all over, and we do these live shows just like these videos year round. So just because football season is over doesn't mean you have to run off. We do our best to keep everybody entertained during the off season around here. It helps it go by a whole lot quicker. All right, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. Have a good morning.